for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Lincoln will lead us in the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the opportunity you've given us together back here tonight to conduct the city of business. Father, we ask you to be with our armed forces around the world, Lord, keep them safe. And Father, our police and fire here at home, Father, the times that they're living under, Father, we just ask you to keep them safe and give them courage, Father, and just watch over them. Father, again, we thank you for the many blessings. We ask you to lead us, guide, and direct us in the decisions we make tonight, and everything we do will be pleasing in your sight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Item 4, approve the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approve the document of claims. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, approve the document of claims.
So much.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, approve the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, request from the Rotary Club to use the Dale Center for meetings. Mr. Step up. I was looking for you.
Most of them know me. I'm Alan Sam. I've been a member of the club for 20 something years, for town. I'm here to have any questions. There's been a meeting at the library, of course, they can't accommodate that anymore. And we don't know when that's gonna happen, and the Zoom meetings don't work too well, so if we wanna keep our club going, we need to have a place to meet.
And details of it, I think, the first Wednesday of every month.
Well, no, we meet every Wednesday, but
Oh, every Wednesday.
normally we do. Right now, we're just having a Zoom meeting every other Wednesday. And whether we meet every Wednesday at the Gale Center has not been decided. And Scotty Capers is, I think we use the difference. We typically have 27 to 30 members attending the meeting. We like to have a little social distancing, which even that, the library can't do it every meeting, so quarantine books. And there's another restaurant down that could, I don't know, it's we try to taste it, and they can't do it.
Kenny, is there a way we can do this as need? They can request it, and if it's available, if it's okay with Parks Department, Wayne and all that, it's okay, and instead of a continuous thing?
That'd be up to y'all. You know, if that's what, that's, I'm assuming, I didn't know about it until tonight, but I'm assuming that, but I'm assuming that they want to meet on a regular basis.
Well, we're meeting tomorrow, and we were gonna discuss how often we meet, but we need to meet on a regular basis to keep growing our club, grow back our club problem.
Well, you're right, it was kind of a last minute thing today, and you're hopeful that possibly next Wednesday you could.
Well, until we meet tomorrow and discuss it. One thing I wanted to find out is how many members will actually attend in person meeting. and I haven't been able to do that without this policy.
All right, let me make this suggestion. How about we see if we can get approval for you next Wednesday? And if you think everything works out, you work out the details of everybody, you come back to the next meeting and see what we can do from there.
Well, if that's what you want, I don't know how these things work with this. You know, when I talked to Sam today, he was thinking we just get it approved to meet there if we can, or if we can't. I don't know. America can't tell us when the library's going to open.
Right.
One question, have y'all talked to Dwayne about the availability of 12 o'clock at day? What you talking about, a 2 hour window? What kind of
No,
window?
we meet for an hour, 12 to 1 on Wednesdays. That's what we've been
Well, I'm talking about setting up and
doing.
breaking down, so you're talking about a 2 hour window, I'm asking.
Setting up, Scotty usually gets there like 10 or 15 minutes before the meeting starts. It doesn't take any time at all. We just clean up 10 or 15 minutes at the most after the meeting, everybody's
Well,
gone.
we still talking about a 2 hour window.
Well, we would be if somebody wanted to use it 11 to 12 or 1 to 2, that's true.
That's what I'm saying, so we're still talking about a 2 hour. Mr. Williams, do we have any ongoing events on the Wednesdays from 11 to, I said 10:30 to 12:30?
Wouldn't say 10:30, but we did check the time at 12 to 1. I think 11 probably be fine, but we usually open during that time of day.
Okay, so the time wouldn't be a conflict.
Definitely not 11 o'clock.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 11 to 1 should be.
11 to 1 is fine, that wouldn't, that's the
And
way.
we can adjust it, sure.
Well, that's why I was saying we ought at least let you do it next Wednesday.
Give it a
And
try.
then come up with the details and all that, what we want to do in the future. I mean, or maybe the next 2 meetings, that's up to the board.
What wasn't open or wasn't asked, is this a request at no cost?
Yeah, because we're a nonprofit.
But my question is, that's not what the request said. That means I'm asking the question. The question is, it should have been requested at no cost. Am I correct or am I wrong?
Well, what Sam said was it's typical for a nonprofit to be able to use it at no cost.
But they have to make a request. Your request just said the use of the Gale Center for meetings. And your request is the use of the Gale Center on Wednesdays from 11 to 1 at no cost. I don't make it correct, so we can have the minutes correct.
That's true. If we had to pay, we would definitely do it.
Well, my point, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying before this,
Sure.
to make sure it's correct.
Have it in minutes.
Yeah. Glad I made motion.
All right,
I make a motion that we allow the Rotary Club to utilize the Gale Center from 11 to 1, provide no conflict at no cost.
Second.
for every Wednesday or just next Wednesday, let them come back with details.
It was, I said no conflict, so if be a
Okay.
conflict, then I have to come back.
All right, that's
That was my motion really, so.
We can be flexible.
That's what I'm saying, that way we have to.
I've got a motion, can you get a second?
Yes,
Yeah.
second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 10, authorize hire Jeff Wright as a service tech 1 master reader in public works department, pending results from background check and drug screening.
Make a motion to, accept the, public works director recommendation.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 11, authorize hire Joe Jenkins as a firefighter.
Make a motion to approve it, to fill in the open position.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 12, authorize to hire Joshua McCormick as a firefighter.
Make a motion to approve open position.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 14, authorize to hire Melissa Kell as a part-time animal shelter tech.
You gotta get certain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Authorize to hire Jonathan Wagner as a firefighter.
Motion to approve is to fill in an open position.
Second,
That's a,
all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 14, authorize hiring Melissa Kell as a part-time animal shelter tech.
we're going to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 15, approval of subdivision development agreement between Jefferson State Subdivision, Section C.
Thank you, Mayor. Subdivision development agreement sets the bond amount at $400,000 and then provisions for finalists of asphalt, street signs, sidewalks, and road control. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And Mr. Reiner is available to accept questions for you.
This is adhering to the original HUD that was presented years ago.
This is the contract for the plat approved last year, Section 6.
Any questions from the board? Questions from the audience? We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderman Deacon.
Aye.
Alderman McClendon.
Aye.
Alderwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Alderman Hobbs.
Aye.
Alderman Miller.
All right. Item 16, approval from the subdivision development agreement with Willingham State Subdivision, Section B between the city of Hernando and Skip Miller.
This will set the bondable amount at $100,000 for the subdivision, which includes the final lift of asphalt, street signs, sidewalks, road control, and a maintenance bond for the construction route into this phase. This particular item, at the last meeting when the plat was approved, there's been misunderstanding as to whether we could or couldn't approve it. I looked at the zoning ordinance, main unit development section, and the subdivision section. Had an item that Alderman Miller brought up as to whether or not we could approve it because the streets weren't exactly like the approved. My understanding of the way our ordinance is written is you can, that could be approved with explanation as to why the difference was there. And this is for your information.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience? We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call.
Alderman Flanagan.
Aye.
Alderman Brooks. Alderman Hawks. Alderman Miller. Alderman Hooker.
Motion granted. 17, request for a scrivener's error injection of state subdivision section C.
The scrivener's error is requested that this would be, street addresses and street name was put before the E911 commission. They believe there will be a confusion because of the height of the looping of the road, and the 3,000 level street addresses being so close in nature. So the developer has agreed to rename the western section of the roads from Spring Ridge Drive to Summer Avenue. And since the plat has been recorded, it would require a scrivener's error to change the name of the street on the plat.
It is corrected in error.
Do we have any avenues, city or avenue?
South Avenue, right?
We have roads and streets,
I think the South Avenue, right?
drives.
And the South Avenue, I agree. Google it. I think the South Avenue.
So, yeah. Any questions? Any questions? We have a motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion granted. Item 18, approve the garbage bids. Each is proposal has been made to Mike and Ryan, and Mike will give us our recommendation.
Look over the bids that were proposed, they were after our negotiations that were submitted, in the mayor. Proposed, on my recommendation, that Dr. 17 Waste Connection. Top bid.
Said Waste Connections.
Yes.
They're the higher deeds for one.
They were hired. We got an after my team waste bid. They want to come up and explain that. Well, to, you don't have to hear from them. When they submitted the bid, they have, down at the bottom, you see the footnotes at the bottom of their bid.
Page 20.
What is the action for?
Asked you just for the footnotes on their bid, but at the very back page of their bid sheet.
So it's a price with an exception,
They
basically?
said they would honor the price. But the ask is still on there on the bid sheet, so they need to explain that. Explain.
We have them come up and explain.
Major Densing, 850 Window Road, Vallejo, Mississippi. I'm president of Team Waste. Basically, what the asterisk was in the bid proposal. Yeah, it should be a footnote on the bottom of the second page. Throw it out here. So basically, you know, we've got all the pricing laid out on the new, after negotiation, the proposal we submitted to the mayor and public works director was, all we were asking is what we mentioned before, is that in the event that we're able to redirect some of the, through y'all's assistance, we're able to redirect some of the millage that's currently being used to pay for disposal. In the event that we're able to take it to our site at Clark County landfill, we would just ask to be paid the same rate that the county is paying for your disposal fees right now at BFI. So there would be no money coming out of the city, other than what's going to pay for the rate at BFI right now. Right now, the county collects millage. I believe it's 2.12 mils from the city, from everyone in the county.
Not from the city.
Well, excuse me, residents, from the residents.
Make the record straight.
From the residents,
Make the
correct.
record be straight.
From all the
Not from
residents of the
city.
county, correct. Right.
From county residents.
Right, and that goes to pay for rubbish disposal, and it goes to pay for, which could be at one of the 3 rubbish sites, or it can be used to pay for, or it's also used to pay for BFI's disposal bill, which right now runs you guys about, on the high side, $10,000 a month. The rate, I believe, is 21, or I think that'll CPI up next year. So that's all we're asking, is that if we're able to take it to our landfill, is to be paid out of that money. You got to pay disposal no matter what. Right now, the county's paying for that, and they're paying more for the contractor to take the south shelf. All we're asking is that if we're able to take it to our landfill, I have you, that money be paid to us, whatever the current rate is at the time, we're able to do that. Now, whether that's a rebate back from the county, or whether that's redirecting millage, that would be something that would have to be worked out. But right now, that doesn't, that money is coming out for disposal right now. There's no difference in that, whether it would be paid to BFI or whether it would be paid to us. It wouldn't change. We'd be paid at the same rate. So that's not, disposal's not included. None of that's figured in these rates. So no money would come out of the city, any additional money.
Kenny, as of right now, what is the county's decision on that?
Well, we went up to a meeting last week, the mayor and I, and the counties, to stay right where they are. They have a contract in 2025.
With BFI? And you're all willing to keep the BFI?
We're willing to. Not to say we won't work to try to change that, but that's why the asterisks. We're saying we're willing to honor that. If we can work it out, great. On the disposal side.
But as of right now, it's in BFI, and y'all fine with that, with your price?
That's right.
And you're saying if y'all can work it out with the county, because you're not working it out with us.
That's right.
You're working it out with the county.
That's right.
And they start, they'll just have to pay you in the process.
That's right.
But you're willing to go to BFI at this price.
I would like them to read his actual statement. His actual statement is not what you are saying, Alderman. I'd like them to read into the record what his actual statement says.
This price assumes the city will assist Team Waste in its endeavors to redirect a portion of the ad valorem tax to pay for disposal of the Clark County landfill at the rate charged by the county contractor for solid waste disposal.
That's what the city assisting in doing that, Alderman. That's what that asterisk said. I'm just reading, are you shaking your head? But y'all the one putting it in black and white. You can shake your head all you want, but y'all the one that had the asterisk. You the one, I don't know who did the language, what is that?
Well, I can say not opposed. This wasn't a contract.
Any questions from the board?
that making a phone call?
I
Or is that
It's
going?
gonna be more than that, so that you'll know a lot more than that.
Well, I mean, there's no interlocal agreement, correct, right now?
Of course, we have plowed this ground, and they know this. There is no interlocal agreement because the county assesses a millage. And part of their agreement with BFI is they would take every citizen's garbage from all the municipalities as well as the residents outside of municipalities. In addition to that, there's the rubbish pits. So there is no separate assessments to the city. Every county resident pays that. That bill's paid by the county, that bill's not paid by the city. That's assessed to every tax-paying resident of this county. So we don't have to have an interlocal agreement with the county because the county, in this particular case, did something really good for everybody as far as they included not just the county residents outside of the municipalities, but all county residents. Now, I'm not getting into the debate about all the other stuff. I'm just saying it includes every resident of the county.
So the way that the disposal contract reads, the city, none of the cities are required to honor that disposal contract. I can read sections of it.
No, we could go have our own separate agreement, but everybody would still be paying that millage, so.
That's correct.
So we would be double paying, and I don't know why any city would do that.
No, I'm not asking that you double pay. All I'm asking is if we're able to take it to our facility instead of BFI, who the county is locked into, but none of the cities are. It just says if you go to BFI, the county should pay the tax. It doesn't say you're required to go to BFI. Just the county, the unincorporated county.
Discussed that with the county?
Yes, we have.
What they say?
Well, I mean, right now, we're looking into all that. I mean.
Well, I can answer that, and I already have. The county's not gonna change. You know, they go to the mayor and I, they're not gonna change. They have a contract through 2025. They can.
Well, the county can't change, but the county can decide if, they can decide if you guys can opt in or out of the millage being charged.
That's not true.
Every year you can, I believe. Doesn't the millage set every year?
We don't set that millage. That's a county set millage.
But the county can only charge you that millage if you subscribe to their service.
No, that's not exactly correct, because there's more to it than that.
So if you opt out of the solid waste, say you get a cheaper rate, you say, county, don't charge us the millage anymore, they can still charge it for a service that they don't provide?
They can still charge the taxpayers, yes.
Well, let me clear it up. So can the county decide which people they set to ad valorem on, or do they have to set it on the whole county?
In this particular case, that's what they did. That's what they did.
But the county can set a millage and leave cities out of it or something?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. I mean, I'm sure they're separate millages maybe for things outside, like if they had a park millage or something for county residents. They could do that.
But I mean, when they set a millage, it's gotta be for the whole county. They can't decide what parts of the county to set a millage on.
No, I don't know exactly what you mean. I'm just saying in this case, the millage is for all the county residents. And it's set aside for garbage and rubbish.
It's my understanding, talking to the state auditor's office, is if you don't subscribe to their system, they cannot charge you millage.
But there's more to their system than just being said.
Well, what services does the county provide for besides paying the BFI disposal bill and the rubbish bill? For the citizens that live in Orlando. Now, I know the county does some other things that they have on their side. They have a rubbish landfill that they have to pay for. They have different services that they provide. But for the cities, it's my understanding what they provide is a rubbish, they pay some rubbish bills and they pay the BFI bill, the garbage bill.
And where's that landfill at?
It's in Memphis.
Where's your landfill?
It's in Bayonne, Mississippi.
So those taxes are going to Tennessee.
BFI. Yeah, and every ton that's dumped in our landfill, you pay $1 a ton that goes to the state that helps fund illegal dumps, helps fund tire programs, helps fund your solid waste compliance officer that you get a grant for. So that the state charges us, it's $1 a ton tax.
Is this a 3-year contract? So basically, if we, went to 10 waste, we'd be saving over $18,000 in 3 years, taxpayers' money.
Right.
But you understand that we have no say-so over the contract with BFI. I mean, basically, the county's paying, disposal fees.
We understand.
And they're paying for everybody. We have no say-so over the contract. They decide to go with BFI, that's what it is. And you'd have to be willing to stick with going dumping at BFI, because we don't have no say-so. We're not gonna charge the taxpayers of Hernandez for rubbish dump site when we don't have to. The county's already doing it.
Right, I mean, we have nothing to do with the rubbish, the way, my understanding, you guys are keeping the rubbish in house.
Any more questions?
The only thing I want to point out, Mayor, is their proposal is made with the caveat that the city is going to work to get some money redirected. I mean, that's, if you accept it, you are going to be required to do that.
We're not doing that.
Well,
I mean, it'll have to be scratched.
That's what their proposal says.
It'll have to be scratched from the proposal. We can't do that.
I mean,
Because basically, if we do that, we're saying just the opposite of what I just told you. That we're not, we're getting in the middle of a contract that we have nothing to do with.
You guys are correct, you don't have anything to do with it.
but if we try to get out of it, there would be costs to the city, because you just don't walk over and say, hey, we want out.
But you guys are not in a contract, you're not a party to the contract.
Right, and we're not gonna negotiate for y'all.
That's exactly right. He wants us to negotiate for him, and we don't need to be part of that.
Yeah, I mean, what if the language read, you will not oppose if we try?
Well, I don't care if you try or not.
Okay.
I don't think anybody in the city does either.
Okay. I mean, if you guys want to oppose us trying to get it, then that's, we can go with that.
I'm sure discretion, we don't have anything to do with it. Go.
I think it needs, I think the city, if you go with this, you need to take that out, because we don't need to cost, I mean, it would cost the city money to be involved in that. There's administrative costs that.
I agree, we can't go with that, and then we'll have to scratch that if we take the bid. Because we can't do that, we can't put, the city in a liability situation like that.
Well,
And you negotiating with the city has nothing to do with us regardless.
right.
If we opposed it or, backed it, it doesn't make a difference. It has nothing to do with us. You understand?
No, I get it. I mean, and that's something that need to be worked out with the county. But if we do work it out with the county, we just ask that you guys not oppose.
Well, we wouldn't want, we don't care if we're
We're gonna say
going
that. Yeah.
Well, I understand.
But I can't make it clear is that it's not as simple as being stated. Okay?
If you willing to take that note over there.
But even if you did all that, there's still gonna be costs to the city. I mean, I just want y'all to know the full picture, because we would have to have a different agreement. We would have to have an interlocal agreement with the county then. Because it's gonna have to be some way that money would get redirected, and that's not just gonna happen by saying.
What are you talking about redirected?
I'm just saying, if they were successful in convincing the county that, hey, we want the city's garbage to go to the Quad City landfill, there's gonna have to be a written agreement that will have to be approved, will have to be sent to Jackson for approval, just like any other, we will have to have an interlocal agreement then. And that's even if we can do it, I'm just saying, if that's possible, there will be some time all spent getting that done. I couldn't tell you a dollar amount, and I just don't want you to think it's something as simple as saying, we don't oppose. It would be a lot more complicated than that.
I really don't understand.
Okay, so-
We don't have anything to do with it.
Correct, that's right, I'm just saying.
I mean, how are we involved in their contract with the
I
county?
don't think we should be.
We
I think
are.
all this should be taken out and even take out about being opposed. If they work out, if they are able to reach an agreement with the county about wherever the garbage goes, that's between you and the county. We need to stay out of it 100%.
I agree.
100. And don't even put the, not opposed, because there's more to it. Trust me, I've already looked at it. There is more to it than just saying it, okay? It would be more complicated than that. And it's possible it could be done, it's possible it couldn't be.
I go back to my original question. You can take that note out there.
Not without language that you guys would oppose if we work it out with the county. And I don't know what reason you would oppose, like you said, there's.
We're not in that contract.
Well, then
How would we oppose?
Then I don't see the problem.
So why would any of us, why would South Haven oppose if they go with you? I mean,
Look,
they're not going to, it has nothing to do with, that's not a contract between the municipalities and landfills. It's a contract between the county and the landfill.
I completely understand.
We didn't sign, we didn't have no agreement with this BFI. You understand? So why would we have it with you?
Yeah, I mean, things get political sometimes, and I just, if we were able to work it out with the county, we just not want the city to be opposed to it. I don't know what reason there could be. I mean,
Even if we were opposed to it, it's nothing to do with us. I mean, we can't do
I just
anything
don't want to
about
lock
it.
us into something that we.
If we're opposed to go to BFI, you know what the county's gonna say? Well, good, pay for it yourself then.
They would, yeah.
Yeah, but we're not doing that.
Even if you had a cheaper rate.
You're not gonna make a difference, that big of a difference.
Really?
Yeah.
So if we were $4 or $5 a ton less at 500 tons a month, that would be a substantial difference.
But that presupposes that we're paying it, and we're not paying it.
Yeah, we're not paying,
We're not paying that bill.
we're not gonna start paying.
Can I, just 2.12 millage come out of my property tax?
Yes.
It does.
What is the value of the mill in Hernando?
That's
164,000.
So right now, you got 328. So your bill to BFI right now is about $10,000 a month, about $120,000 a year. And I can't imagine that you're.
That's our millage. But we're talking about our, you guys.
The county's bill is different from the city bill, and that's a bill.
But they
County
pull,
bill.
no, this is your disposal bill. The county, Republic divides every city's bill up, sends it back to the county. And Hernando's bill is separated from South Haven, from Olive Branch, from Horn Lake, from the unincorporated area. We FOIA the bills, I can get them to you. You're about 450, in your RFP, you stated about 450 tons a month. And it's roughly 21 something dollars. So on the high side, that's about $10,000 a month that you're paying. Now you're paying, the county is paying on your behalf to BFI. Okay? So that's about $120,000 a year, right? The county's pulling, what did you say, Mr. McClain, was about 320?
It's a little more than that.
Okay.
Two
So-
mills.
It's 320.
No, well, I was what the county mills for.
That's the question you should have asked, not what the city did.
The city millage.
I'm not sure, but I mean, they're
Now,
paying
Horn
your
Lake's
bill
different,
for it.
South Haven's different and all that, but it's set under the county.
That's right, so they pull 300 something thousand for solid waste. I can't remember what it says, solid waste disposal, it's not collection, because you guys pay that. For solid waste disposal, correct? For BFI and for your rubbish that you take your gravel trucks to. Now, your garbage bill is about $10,000 a month, about $120,000 a year. I can't believe your rubbish is $100,000 a year. You know what your rubbish, you see how many yards you take a year or a month? It can't be more than the garbage.
I think, into the negotiation phase, that's over with now.
I'm just saying there's extra money coming out.
You know, we need to either accept the recommendation or move on.
All right. Any more questions from the board? Any questions from the audience?
If we're saving money, I can't go there.
You just renegotiated a contract, are you gonna go that's not our contract. Oh, listen, I'm talking about the contract that you finna sign now, you just renegotiated a contract in this one, are you finna go renegotiate with Team Waste, Waste Connection, and Waste Pro also? That's my point,
There's no price changes.
you just negotiated taking something out that extra, that's a negotiation. Am I correct, Mr. Attorney?
Yes. But I don't think it got taken out.
No. That's the negotiation.
It didn't get taken out.
We discussed it. What you want to do? Just negotiate, you negotiate.
You're not willing to take it out?
He's willing to say it's, take out assist, and we don't oppose.
No, I mean, take it out completely.
No, sir.
I mean, we gotta go with what our attorney recommends to us.
I'll make a motion. Then we
Got a
ask the
motion?
audience wants to speak.
Oh, please do.
I'll just say, and listen to your attorney. That's it.
She said you just need to listen to your attorney. Now, what if-
Any more questions from the audience? Or board? We have a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we accept the bid from Waste Connections at the recommendation of our Public Works Director and our attorney. Our we'll take up the attorney, our Public Works Director.
How's that?
Roll call.
I want to see what it goes.
Alderman Hogg, Alderman Miller, Alderman Hickman,
Hey.
Alderman McClendon,
Nay.
Alderman Brooks.
Aye.
Motion granted. Continuation of public hearing on the proposed budget fiscal year 2021.
That's different.
From the last meeting to this meeting, we went back and visited with our department heads, asking for a reduction in their requests. Our general fund is now approximately $234,000, parks $226,000, hotel and motel $12,650, for a total of about $474,290.28. So we made some progress. I'd like for us to go down the revenue sheet and make sure that we all agree on it tonight. Everybody is comfortable with the values that are set. Any questions so far?
Now with the revenue projection, it'll be impossible for us to say whether they're incorrect or correct. Based on, information where you receive information from, you have to assume that was correct. Also, the information that we received from the tax office. And what was the projection increase in revenue from that?
We got a 93,000 increase. Well, we'd have to add up the first 6 figures or something like that. This budget has been prepared by the city clerk and department heads. Katie has come up with the revenues. Best of her ability.
And our revenue is,
Yeah.
with a projection, so,
I mean, is there any questions on revenue?
well, I don't have that.
How about the sales tax? We've gone 11 months and we're ahead of last year.
Correct.
3,843,307. For 1 month ago. Last year, 3,000,000.
I was just showing you where you were.
That's correct. Let's see, so right now, we're 100. With another month to go. That's 7,000.
I mean, that figure in the past, I just think, we ought to look at our audit report, 2000 audit we just approved. It says to be cautious because of COVID on your projections. I think it's page 17 on it, and it's on here. In the past, and the 14 audit, 15 audit, revenues were overstated. I don't think we need to try to get in that situation. The building permits, Keith, has increased 215,000, and majority of that would be AWG, correct?
Yes.
Going to the general fund. His permits are all up. And the rest of them are pretty much set, correct? They're all flexible.
I need to know which one you're talking about.
Well, I went over, the first 2000 through 2007. Are those good?
200 to 207 are the ad valorem taxes that are from the county. Yes.
We can't change those.
And the licenses, taxes, are what we thought they would be at. Permits from planning. And then grants for individual departments.
And on page 2,
What's the dealership projection? Somebody call them and ask them. Why wouldn't we? How are we gonna do a budget without doing that? They're the newest business and a large, revenue for the city. You want it?
yeah, they're doing well.
Surely we could have got a projection from them, couldn't we?
We could. Here's another issue there. Right now, you go to Kroger, you go to some of your stores and all that, inventory is becoming a problem. Inventory is becoming a problem with some dealerships, and they're getting worried that they may not have inventory. Stores are low on inventory.
All these big stores, they got budgets just like we do. And they got projections. And we should know what their projections are. We should know what Kroger's, Walmart, the dealership.
Well, we got Kroger and all them from our past history. We just don't have a history on.
Yeah, but they know their business better than we do. And like you just said, their inventories may be down, but they know it better than we do. They still have a projection, because they can't make a budget without it.
Right.
mean, it could make a difference in our bottom line.
It could, I mean, we can raise the sales tax.
I hate that we taking, and raise some money of it, to try to, pencil book $461,000. Right now, this budget is $461,640.28. Sure. Sales are right now. I don't think we can be creative, we want to do a number, but at the end of the day, if the money don't come in, what we gonna do then?
Yeah. Well, you can't live in fear.
I'm not
All I
doing
know
it.
is.
You gotta live in reality
We
too.
got more in sales tax than we ever have in the history of Fernandez.
Absolutely.
But we still, but our budget is still $461,640.28. Sure.
Since the 1st of March, when COVID hit, people had to shop at home. People that lost their jobs got $230 a week in unemployment with an additional $600. Is that additional $600 going to continue?
They might go back to work.
You know something else, Alderman, if you look at the cost of how I call it price gouging, really. So we got more sales tax revenue because what you was paying $1 for, you're now paying $2.25 for. And next year, those numbers are not gonna be at $2.25. So your sales tax revenue is up, the cost of the product was jacked up. So it wasn't a true number as it relates to money. And anybody can scratch their head and say anything. You wouldn't have got ground beef jumped up, but look at what ground beef jumped up to, what chicken jumped up to. Livestock jumped to $7, $8, depending on what day you find it in there. And those prices change week to week. And they going up. So that's mean from March up until now. Look at what toilet paper did, what happened with the toilet paper. And it was a shortage there, how they jacked it up. Yes, we got sales tax revenue higher, but it's not a true cause that next fiscal year, the same amount of money is gonna be there.
No, but these stores,
I'm just going by history here.
Go ahead.
I'm just going by history.
But these stores, no, they've got projections too. They understand that the prices got jacked up. Supply and
I understand, as we look at, he was talking about how this increase on the sales tax, that's what I'm saying, that's not a true and accurate of what's gonna happen next year.
I've got
So what's the
I mean, you really got a lot, I agree with, Alderman Clinton, right that one down. That you look at your projections, the past, and dictate that for the next year.
Well, you guess 10 million in sales before you look?
Not believe.
I mean, but we don't have those numbers tonight, but we can spend it all night and talk about it. What we do is actually,
It'd be about $54,000.
And bring them back next, our next meeting. But what we can work on tonight is this shortfall. We ain't gonna have, what everybody is saying, no projection, we don't have them tonight. I mean, we could sit there for 3 hours and talk about them, but we don't have them. How long will it take us to get them? I don't know. I know we got to approve a budget, we do know that, but how long we got to approve, what we approve a budget?
September 15th.
14 days. So we do know that for a fact, right?
For a fact.
For a fact. So we can ask our clerk to see if she can contact those businesses that just been named and see if we can get a projection. And have it back to us.
Have we ever done that before?
No,
Hadn't had COVID, we hadn't had a dealership here.
That's something that's normally done.
That's what I'm saying, I'm just saying,
I
though,
would think it would be.
and it's the top, you know,
I mean,
they.
it's helpful.
Like, yeah.
Ain't no sitting in no 2 hours talking about the night show, but we can't change.
Yeah, no.
And they can't.
All that you can ask is that our clerk contact those businesses that you just referred to and see if we can get a projection, correct?
Correct.
I mean, that's. Just for that.
Have you got a number on how many building permits we did through the year? Houses,
Got handy, but I can have it for you,
approximately,
for over 200.
so we're more than we were last year.
I would anticipate that, yeah.
On building permit, you also know what just happened also too, right? On building permit. What just happened in the last 3 months? Mama went up 60%. What do you think I have for building permit?
I think you could put whatever price you want to, they can put their name.
He increased it by 215,000, we want to increase it to
Square
300.
footage of homes are going up every day. You put a for sale sign, you better be ready to move. That's all I think.
But our planning director was comfortable with the number of 215, and we took his recommendation.
So we just gotta look at how much is going up, or we're not going.
That's what we need to be looking at.
I say again, one we can't change tonight till we get the other data that you requested.
Can we move on?
What questions does the board have for what we've done? See. Katie gave us a change from the request. I'm having to call it from memory, and Katie, you're going to help me. The capital improvements, the vehicle, that planning was one, and vehicle avenue was one, we combined those together for reduction. Keith, you're next on the list, could you tell us what your reductions? We still got office construction for a while, but when he hires another person, he can have a private office, a plotter, and he's got some desks, chairs, and file equipment, correct?
Yeah.
Police and dispatch and animal control, the 2 new computers. Yearly taser plan, route helmets, and face masks. He reduced the 3 patrol cars. 2 computers also, wasn't it? And then the one, you left the one in the dispatch, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's in the.
$3,000 from capital on the computers down to 1. We took the 30 patrol cars out for 96,000. Furniture and fixtures at the booking room, 2 workstations. Those have been in there since that building was built. They're deteriorated just about beyond repair. So we're, instead of buying some commercially, we're looking at maybe trying to build them ourselves, and we can figure out how to fabricate that setup, because it's a very unique setup that you have to have when you have prisoners in that room. we were going to apply for a match grant of 50/50 on the body worn cameras. It's something that we've been pushing for the last few years. One of the main reasons for transparency in our accreditation, needing to make the amount of cuts of the volume of $1 million shortfall. We reduced the 50,000 out of that, and removed the grant. The only thing else that's in this budget as far as, it was not an increase over last year, anything to absorb any type of cut of that nature would be fuel, housing expenses for prisoners, which there is no way that we can reduce either one of those. We took out $5,000 for outside building repairs. As you all well know, our building is extremely old, so was everything in it. So we reduced that down to 10,000. I mean, if one of those antique air conditioners goes out, it's gonna eat that just in one AC unit. The 4,319 for shop with a cop, that's not a request from the city for that. We raised that money. That money is still in the FY20 budget, so we're just asking them to carry that forward. That was a donation from citizens. So that's not actually a $4,000 increase. That's just money that's already paid. The protective clothing went up $5,000 this year. However, we do have to purchase 14 ballistic vests. We're also writing the BVP grant to offset that cost of about $4,000. So we'll only be looking at an increase purchasing all of those vests. As you all know also, our state flag is in the process of being changed. Our current patch has our state flag on there. So we have been in the process and working, we have redesigned the patch that removes the old state flag. So I have to outfit everyone, pay setup fees for a new patch, rebranding of everything. So there's going to be some costs. I know I've talked to Aldermen McClendon about that to see down in Jackson if they want to try to help us offset that cost.
Yes, Commissioner.
And we, just the patch program alone, we don't have a cost on it, but Chief, what do we currently pay when we do order those?
We order 200 of each, and it's like 2,500.
So that's typically what, so as you can imagine, what that's gonna run us. Everything else stayed flat. The education and seminars that did not increase from last year. Our budget, we were blessed in the sense of COVID that we hate that our officers did not get the training that they needed for the year, but we did have money left over that we were able to pull from that line item to put into repair of cars. And so we just took that back to, because that was a budget amendment item. So we just took that actually back to the request that we had for this previous year.
Are we actually having more trouble with the Chargers than we anticipated?
Not at all.
You're not happy with the maintenance cost?
So we still, as you know, this past year, we still had, going into FY20, we still had about 11 of those Explorers. So that's what ate the beginning budget of our maintenance in those. We actually exceeded our projection on sales, which is a great thing for the city by about $34,000. Putting those new cars on the road for FY20, we greatly appreciate that, but we actually made the city money the way that we structure our lease purchase payments and the money that we brought in for revenue.
What's your total on overtime?
We cut it from last year. We did not increase it. We cut it last year by 30,000. I don't.
Have we looked at,
The only saving grace this year was we did not have all the events, or we would have went over. We were able to maintain what we did
We not cut a lot of that overtime with temporary, say like a retired policeman? Part-time, and take all of that overtime, or a lot of that overtime off, that's big money.
Yes, sir, and we do have 3 part-time people.
Can we get more? Because
We
I
can try.
understand most of this is caused by water tower festivals and all this kind of stuff, and that's simple security.
You're exactly right. I like where you're thinking, but herein lies the problem with municipal officers versus a sheriff's department. Sheriff's departments in the state of Mississippi, by Mississippi code, is not required to attend the same amount of training. Say we have to get 24 hours of continuous education training. A sheriff's department does not have to do that. A sheriff's department can have entities within their department, whereas they're not certified. Even if we bring in part-time or try to find retired, and that's what we've done with what we do have, they still have to be certified, they still have to attend the training. So, yes, sir, if we could get the retirees that are still certified and keep them certified, that would be great. We scratched to get the 3, and of course, Mr. Perry wants to come back after September, and we all know how much he saves the city. So we certainly hope to get him back, but that is absolutely our intent, to utilize as much of the part-time as we can. But, when you've got the 10K, it takes everyone. It takes everybody that we have, but, we are required by law to still have certified, have everything, because it's just one incident where we put someone out there and they're not qualified by the state.
What about the people putting on the program, hiring their own security?
That would be,
Is that something that would be legal, okay to do?
that would certainly be something that would be legal, for them to do. You could impose costs legally for these people to reimburse, the city for our services. As you know, Ole Miss, they do contract police officers, and they, you pay in PERS and everything, else, but that's a fund set aside. Of course, that's private, which legally, to answer your question, yes, sir.
The overtime is killing.
It does kill us, but, one of the things
I
too
know
is.
it's needed and necessary, but.
Yes, sir. And, we've all tried, the mayor's tried, we've all tried, and I mean, we've tried every year to look at and adding police officers. We just have not been able to do it. We work double the amount of calls for service that we did 10 years ago. And we do it with the same number of cops. So
I believe I'm correct on this, I may not be, but I think since 2016 to 2020, we're gonna double our police budget.
2016 to 2020, double it.
I think I saw that somewhere. I'm not 100% sure on that. Does that sound?
I came here in 2015, and we've not done with the police department, by no shape, form, or fashion.
But I know we bought a lot of cars, we added officers, we had to absorb the maintenance on the interstates, and God almighty, that has been expensive.
It does.
I mean, it seems like every time I'm on the interstate, we've got a police car involved in something. And we got no money from the state for that, Mike.
We've had, obviously, personnel costs goes up. If you give a raise, that goes up. But we've been very creative. We have 4 officers on staff. That does not cost the city at all. When you look at 37 police officers for a city of our size, and I think we all know what April's gonna produce, and you look across the state collectively, per capita, police officer per 1,000 to the residents, we're gonna be, I'm predicting, roughly 15 short of a city of our size, for what we should be. And we're 10 miles from one of the most violent cities in the country. And you guys know what we're dealing with every day. So we are absolutely doing the best that we can. We're trying to be stewards, the best stewards of the city's money and budget that we can. But, it's extremely taxing on us when You know, if it's not there, it's not there. I understand better than anybody. I've been doing this 25 years. That there's a piece of pie, and we only get a chunk of it. But hats off to the men and women of this department who do what they do. You know.
Well, I'm not.
Yes, sir, I know you're not, but I've got the floor, so I want to stress that, you know, we do more with less. You know, you look down there in Batesville, they've got about 10 cops more than we do in their cities, like 8,000 people. I talk to Chief McLeod all the time. You know, when you look around, you look down on the coast and some of the populous, the smaller cells, the smaller, you know, we're spread out. We're roughly 30 square miles. We have all this interstate. We have, the City of Hernando Police Department has more municipal jurisdiction on interstate than any city here. We have way more than South Haven. You know, Olive Branch has a section of 78. It's not an interstate system, but it's close to it. But you're exactly right. We have a major accident like we had on I-69, the fatality. We've got everybody tied up in the city for about 4 or 5 hours that we cannot.
And it's every day.
It's every day.
I just don't know why we're so dangerous on our little section of the interstate out there.
It's speed.
Speed?
It's speed. You know, and hopefully, yes, sir, when it comes out, we'll slow it down.
Assists.
Yes, sir. Because we'll be over 15,000 and we can run radar. Right now, we cannot run radar on US 51. We cannot run radar on I-55 or I-69.
On the body cameras, do we get a discount on insurance? I'm ashamed to say, I don't know.
So I can answer that for you. Unfortunately, because it's very positive for this city and our department that we're accredited now. One of the big pushes that I've had, and everyone knows, Ms. Cassidy, that's a conversation that you and I had from day one. MML, for whatever reason, does not offer liability decrease in insurance coverage for accredited agencies. All of the other, I verified, I talked to Jackson, all of the other, like Olive Branch, there with Travelers, I believe, Travelers gives the city a discount. It's a pretty significant discount. The only thing that MML will do is they will look at your past history and look at claims against the city, and they will give you a reduction that way. But it's unfortunately, and I think maybe in the future, hopefully you can help us with that, but you know, we're only the 27th agency out of 357 agencies that are accredited throughout the whole state in law enforcement. So, you know, we hope that eventually they would offer that discount, because that would be a great savings to the city. So that falls in line with body cams. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
But if there is any way that we could find that money so that we could do that fast grant for the body cameras,
I think we need to do that. I mean,
we
for
would.
many reasons.
Absolutely.
Is there a time frame on that?
The grant's gonna open back up on October 1. What we're told is they will award sometime in June, so, you know, if we hate to get the grant and then not accept it because it's a federal grant and they tend to, because I guess all the work that goes in on their end to getting everything approved, so if we are awarded that, we really hope that we can find the funds to do that match. Now, that's just for the first year, and then it'll stair step down. Like the next 4 years will be $26,000 will be ours. So it'll be a 5-year grant, but the first year, and that is the redaction software, that is the storage, that's the whole deal. As you know, we don't have IT for the city, so there's no way that we could manage that. There's, you know, rules and redaction software that you have to have on the body cam, whereas if I can't release your face, that program will recognize your face, and it will blur your face out through the entire video, so, you know, with kids, things of that nature, that's sensitive. But that's the whole package. So, and I believe it's every 2 years we get new equipment. So we'll get the latest, greatest, every 2 years we'll trade those in.
You feel it's very important that we have this.
It's imperative we have it.
Well, I'm certainly in favor of finding that.
I think we're all in favor of that.
I mean, we can find that somewhere, we got to.
We're gonna start with municipal service.
What?
We're gonna start with municipal services. Give them a discount.
But now we have, the board has already authorized, that we authorized, this board authorized them to apply for that.
Right.
It's already been authorized, so. Once we look at all the revenue streams and everything else, we can amend our budget to put that money in there in the next 90 days, depending on revenue.
How many boards we got left?
We actually, for the first time since I've been here, we actually held two back. We've never had an actual backup car, so we kept two as backup cars, and we have one in the school, and we don't anticipate a lot of maintenance. When we sold those Fords, that's what we sold them to, was junior colleges and things like that, where they're just kind of going to and from, so they're just going between schools and stuff, typically not out. But to answer your question, sir, we have 3 left, but 2 would go for when something's having maintenance done. They'd have something to drive.
How many did we buy last year?
12.
12. And that was, what was the cost of that?
The total was 440, but the way that we structured the lease purchase payments, the way that previous lease purchase payments had fallen off because we paid those off, we actually made the city money, and we did not increase that. We did not increase over previous years for lease purchase payments.
Can you explain that in detail? 'Cause I don't think everybody understands that.
So, in our world, in the police world, ideally, if you'll set up a 3-year term on your payments. For us, that runs around $12,000 to $13,000 a month for the rate that we get. So your purchasing power is much, much greater. So you have $440,000, but if you do the math, just say 10 for 12 months, that is costing you $120,000. And we've proven it in the past. We showed you guys where we were spending, close to around $100,000. So if you can, in maintenance costs. So if you can do that and you can rotate those cars out, just like we did this past year with making almost $100,000 in revenue, when you offset that and you never do 2 lease purchase payments, other than
One drops out and another starts.
That's what you can overlap, but you'll never add 3, because if you add 3, then your purchasing power is dropping, because then you become to where you're paying like around 400 or something thousand, which would be the same. So ideally, once this, for a department of our size, if we on average bought 5 to 6 cars a year, which a car is going to cost you now, the way they're outfitted, the cost is going up about $40,000. So about $240,000 for 6 cars, okay? So, but if you take 6 cars with 80,000 miles and you sell them just like we did at, say, $15,000 a car, so we only got $25,000 in the car, if that makes sense. No maintenance cost, and we're generating revenue for the city, okay? That's the way the county, the road department. You see the road department, they've always got brand new vehicles. That's how they do it. It's the smart way to do it. It's just business. If you take one of these cars like we had when I got here, that the mirrors are falling off of them. There was one, literally, I did not know this, and the guy had off this heavy duty rubber floor mat because he had a hole where his foot was supposed to go for the gas pedal, that you could see the ground. So when we drive these cars into that position, number one, it's unsafe, obviously. But number 2, there's no cost to be recouped. It's unsafe for the officer, and it's just a bad deal all the way around. So the way that we've structured this, we can maintain and hopefully 2 years from now, then we can be to where we're just purchasing, 5 or 6 cars a year. And we never increase other than the inflation of the vehicle.
Chief, I think all of us understand that. Do you have anything else that you can talk to us about the budget that help reduce it? So I think all of us know about the new job, we got some more positive help. I mean, it's all good information, but we hadn't did nothing other than all of us agree that we're gonna try to find that $50,000.
Well, those are the increases in my budget. Everything else stayed flat. There's no additional employees that we desperately need. There's nothing there.
And for the sake of, for credit, on your budget on the education and seminar, on the 9-001, 100-681, it showed last year 8,125. It showed this year 15,000. So it was an increase, and it wasn't a decrease.
No, so we went into last year's budget with 15,000. We had to amend from that line item to put in maintenance costs.
At the end of the day, I'm talking what we're looking at tonight, the old budget showed 8,125.
Yes, sir. That's
Okay.
what we amended.
I'm just saying. And we got some more amendments because, we talked about the amendments. We had to amend also because of more money we spent in other items also. Not only your department, other departments. Not only some budget items went down, but other budget items went up. So the amount of money was still there. So it really, at the end of the day.
Yes, the ones that we had to take that money and put over here to make it. We
Rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, we Rob Peter to pay Paul, so we just took it back to what it was last year. Anything else?
Actually. Mr. Barry?
In my capital outlay, we dropped one of our vehicles, which was 50,000 to 40,000. And then the striking kit for how we got outfitted for another 5,000. And then we dropped a total of 83,100 throughout the whole budget. The rest of it is just a normal line item that we adjusted.
Actually, a couple questions.
Yes.
On the, line item 001-160-730.
Yes.
2 power loads for Medic 5 and Medic 5-1.
Yes.
And my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but so far, we have had no lost time, injuries, or anything due to that.
No.
Huh?
No, we have not.
So, my question is this, we're talking about $57,000. Is there anything wrong with outfitting one vehicle this year and outfitting another next year? We have had no incident, and they said the primary purpose of this piece of equipment is to ensure that we save personnel for backing.
Correct.
I'm just saying, I'm looking for $461,000.
Right.
And also,
I just know back injuries would cost way more than that.
my point is that they're gonna ask the question. I realize that, but that's what I'm saying, is there anything wrong that we can buy one this year and then outfit the other next year?
Sure, we could do it. It's not optimal, because then you gotta figure out who's gonna work on the truck that needs it, who does it.
Well, they work on the same truck they're assigned now. I mean, that's assigning personnel. Who get the new vehicle? Who get the old vehicle? Is it an argument about who get the new and old, who drive the new and who drive the old, and you just assign them, correct?
Right.
And if they refuse to operate that piece of equipment, then that's another thing. My next thing is, and this is not directly at you, but if you stand before, 001-160-750, you know what them is, don't you?
Right.
It's some $1,000 chairs.
That's recliners.
$1,000 recliner. Then we have to outfit all departments at this time There again, could that be augmented and do one station this budget time, another station this budget time, and then have a rotating base, because we don't have to do them all at one time?
Sure, but like what we did 2 years ago, we did all mattresses. This year, we're requesting all recliners. In 3 years, we're gonna have all of something else. So otherwise, if we separate it, then we're gonna need 3 years to buy recliners, 3 years to buy mattresses, and it's gonna end up where they start overlapping. And then you're buying the same amount of recliners, bed, mattresses, everything else in the same year. We're not separating individual items, we're just separating all the items. We'll get all these at one time here, 2 or 3 years later, we'll get all these.
Doesn't necessarily mean that you need all of them at this time, even though you're doing them all at one time.
Oh, we absolutely need all of these. I mean, we actually do need all of them. We bought those in 2012. And we're actually, with the amount of people added to the ambulance, you're actually going to have enough chairs right now for these guys to sit in.
I'm gonna say that one time. I believe that alone. I think that's something. I'm gonna hold that thought. I'm just asking you to look at it.
I mean, we
No, I'm
can
just
separate it.
asking you to look at it.
I actually am gonna try to build like a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, so we'll know exactly what we need to be doing every year before that year comes up. But this is the first time I've got to do this. I know exactly what we need right now, and I know what we've done in the past, so I'm just going off of what we can do.
That's still my concern, that's not even, that's been our preference, that with, my understanding, you had no injuries. And I understand you, being proactive, so reactive. But I'm just asking this, could we outfit, one of those this year, and another next year, either maybe 5, maybe 5, one or this? That's all I got.
Any more questions? Thank you. All right, Dwayne, Parks, committee, you have 3 big items.
Here we go. The items that I recommend to be cut. $50,000 playground, we're trying to get, the Reservoir Park. Park is increasing participant usage a whole lot this year. Mainly because we're going, there's a lot of usage of that park. So we figure a nice playground for children would be able to stay, walking the trails, walking the zone, with the dog park and all of that. We have a playground there. But I cut that out, those 50,000 I cut out there. And then the $4,000 I cut out for the furniture, the Gale Center. We're trying to increase capacity, be able to have a whole seat 300 people. But so we took that out. That's about 4,000, 4,400, finished on that. We took that out. And then we cut some of the capital equipment, 35,000, 17, 18,000. We cut that. We're trying to keep it over, we need to keep, to get the lawnmower and other items that we can get, so we cut that out also. What I did ask, you cut in there, was that we could keep $14,000 that would go towards drainage work at the baseball complex. And if we could, have 50,000 or 60, yeah, 50,000 to go towards people work done on the baseball fields themselves.
The park looks very nice. And the person said, money going out to the pavilion there. The concrete, the upkeep on it is not, even with, the rain, it's a lot of rain. It looks like it's on weed, weed, cut, and spray. It looks good.
Any more questions?
A lot of your sports, a lot of your supplies are going up. Why are they going up?
Actually, we got an increase in, registration. Fall registration, last year was 488 kids in fall baseball, soccer, baseball, softball, and t-ball. When I say t-ball, for those. We're up to 520 something now. We were at an increase in the spring football, for spring baseball. We exceeded last year's numbers, but then when COVID hit, that changed a lot of that. So we just expect these increases to go on. Basketball, they come with the increase. We'll do basketball this year, but I'm school let us know, but we've been growing in that. So when you're growing those registrations, you have more games, you need to have more supplies. You need more chalk to ball fields, you need more quick dry, you need more bases, you need more balls, you need more catcher's gear, you need all that stuff.
All right. I take that they're down because of the COVID, correct? Because everything's down.
That hit us 14,000, 15 some odd thousand, baseball.
Pavilion fees, Dale said.
Dale said.
But I think your basketball is really not down to about 12%.
Well,
Play
basketball, we got on revenue for basketball in 19. We play that sport from December to January, to February, so we get that revenue then. We won't feel the effects of basketball and COVID until this budget. If we were playing, we'd be fine, I think, but we're not playing, we will. Yeah, our baseball was hit 14,940 due to COVID. Our soccer hit $19,412 due to COVID. Gale Center, we missed out about 20,000 in Gale Center.
Yeah.
I think we made about 7,000 something in revenue, budget 27.5, I think. We missed out on quite a bit. Yeah, pavilion revenue was up 5,000, but we made 5,000.
Who does the sign around baseball?
The Hernandez Soccer Association.
Baseball.
Oh, you said baseball. Yeah, baseball, Friends of Hernandez Baseball, sign renewal. They're in flux right now, so we're thinking about, we're gonna start doing that ourselves.
Because a lot of those people are just adding money back up here. Nobody's going back to keep that in the fund.
Well, like I said, Friends of Baseball, they've been doing it, they get the money, then they put the money back into the program. That's how we're able to buy, we're gonna get some, a little tiller, hoping from this with the till fields up, things like that. That money they made from the sign, money they helped with, we go out terms. They come in flux, so if they don't go find out over the winter, if they don't do, they don't pay it out, we'll just start making calls and give us the money for the sign, we put the signs back up. So it's hanging signs, we get some money for the sign.
So we still have some of them.
We got all those signs, so.
I can attest that they didn't even ask for the review, because I had a sign down there, they never never called me. And I wasn't gonna call them, leave. I said, if you want my money, I think you will call me, because I have a sign up there.
I asked the guy about that.
I'm serious, I wasn't gonna give it up. If you can't make the call, I'm not gonna give it up.
What we call this?
I mean, I wasn't the only one that was remote. That'll be the first thing you call it, you got a sign, so already, you ain't got to make the sign again.
Any more questions? Thank you, Dwayne. Courts is very simple. Cassidy has no capital improvements. She's done an excellent job. It is what it is.
Mine feels very small compared to everybody else.
Do what?
I said, mine feels very small compared to, I don't have much.
I did increase a couple of things, no capital improvement, of course. Printing and binding, I did go up on that, and office supplies, I went up on that.
And printing and binding includes postage, correct?
I did that question, communication. Communication. Printing and binding, that's where my ticket books come out of, where all the traffic ticket citations. Of course, they're increasing in tickets now, so that's. So they're going to make sure they're not holding back right now. Did break up on that, but they're back at it.
Thank you. Any questions for Cassie?
Good job.
Public Works. Utility fund is balanced. This is much needed equipment for the city. You want to tell which one? Go ahead and tell them what I want. Well, I mean, it's balanced. I don't.
We've got key capital improvements in the department. Of course, we put in there, upgraded a lot of technology that we do not have in place right now. Those people equipment. We have read system software, handhelds that we have currently are obsolete and out of date. So we have no way to replace them right now. The other thing would be the SCADA system, which is a monitoring system for our water towers. Eventually, we're going to be obligated to have a SCADA system on these water towers. We've actually had several people who had come in and look at our system and got pricing on those. This will help us to respond better and be able to tell what our water towers are doing, what they're capable of getting and monitor that system. It also allows us to be able to utilize other towers at different times. Instead of just utilizing a single, shut them off. The other thing was a skid steer. Replace the back of it, sitting in our shop now, and has the motor is locked up, it's not good.
And questions? Does skid steer have a backhoe on
Sir?
it? Does it have a backhoe attachment?
No, it does not.
So how's it replacing a backhoe?
Well, it's we utilize the backhoe as a loader. A loader repairs other things, kind of clean the curves off, things like that. The skid steer would be more of a personal piece of equipment. This thing would be able to have, you'd be able to buy several different attachments for it. So we'd be able to buy sweepers, heavy duty hydraulic cutter, kind of maintain some of the right of ways that we have that we're not able to get tractors down. The backhoe part of it, our mini X's will pretty much do what that backside of that backhoe will do.
Can I ask, can we move to sewer? See these, the crew charges, were estimated at $2,200,000. The actual is, 1.5 million as of last meeting, which is down about 18%. So why don't we go up 200,000?
That's just anticipating some of the growth that we're gonna have. We've got.
Yeah, but we're 18%, we're gonna come out 18% based on the projection. So why wouldn't you keep it at the same? I'm just asking, this doesn't affect the general fund.
Yeah, I mean, let's get Joe Frankie.
Yes.
Let's get Joe Frankie on this question.
But we've already passed our, budget as far as flow, about 2 months ago. We're up, what is that, about 25%. Flow is up that much. So I would think.
Why doesn't it show it in the figures though?
We pay a certain amount a month based on last year's flow.
Based on last year's flow, it's not based on the current flow.
It's not based on the current flow. We have the opportunity based on the current flow to add, more money into the accrual account, but we don't need to do that. So that's why we have the true up at the end of the fiscal year on flow. Once we have an audit, so sometime next spring, you'll find out on whether you owe more money or that you get some money back. We're gonna owe more money this year, next year's budget, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah. But it's down 18% this year. I guess it's 18% last year. So we're gonna make up for it, what you're saying, the next year.
Yes.
Okay. We hope. No, we don't hope. It's gonna cost us more money.
We got a lot of infiltration.
It's hard to figure, infiltration,
I understand.
but we hope more people are paying each year. As more people, move in new houses and help pay the bill.
Let's see what else. That garbage is supposed to be, that's correct, what it's gonna be.
Garbage supposed, no, I'm gonna have to readjust that, what we have right now.
Any more questions?
I'll go back and refigure those on
We need to get,
see where y'all are going, and who y'all are gonna upset with what, man.
I got you.
Get those final numbers on that garbage.
A good figure, so we'll work on that accrual figure a little bit better. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I got some questions.
Well, I'd like to visit with the department heads one more time.
Hey, what number's the streets?
Oh, we still got, like I said, we're not finalized there. We got 1.2 million in there.
Page 13. Should be on page 13.
It's on page 13.
Can you order those numbers?
001, 201.
It's 721. It's on 14.
Page 13, you got street personnel is where it starts.
What he was talking about is 720. Correct? On page
Yeah,
14.
yeah, that's right there. I see it. I'm reading.
Page 720 on page 14.
So we can get this answer. So we'll do this year. That's what I'm looking at this year. This year, we had $410,000 of street overlays.
That was done last year.
What do we do in
Payment was
overlays?
done this year.
What do we do in overlays in this year so far?
Say that again.
What have we done in overlays this year? This budget year? What have we done in overlays? Just, I know you don't know it, was exactly the
I think this 410 was the slurry seal that we did the year before last and just fell in this year's budget. Did we do any this year?
No, that was part that fell in at the beginning of this fiscal year. It was, we did right on the, toward the end of September, 1st of October last year. That's the major part of that money we spent.
But there's still 85,000 left in it. Well, we're using.
Well, he's got some outstanding bills right now he's trying to get. And we, I don't know where all that money came from.
The only way you can see that is you have an annualized printout. And there's no way this board can determine on if we're under budget, over budget in any line item without that printout.
Is that the revenue and expenditures?
It's just the budget and then the actuals, and then the percentage where we are.
Which one is that?
Get that every month.
Yeah, that's the one that's put there every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the board didn't have that. And if you don't have anything to compare, all we're looking at is an old budget and a new budget. And we don't even know if we were high on the budget or low on the budget. So how can we even give any kind of recommendation on anything without?
By state statute, we have to put them in every month, correct? Is that what we gotta put them
I
in?
don't know if it's state statute, but yes, y'all can.
But you can have, I can have last month, it doesn't matter, because I got enough sense to figure out, where we are. And on this one right here, we're at 47 weeks in.
All right, what's
So that
the
gives you
date on
5
top
weeks
of
left,
it?
and gives you the percentage.
What's the date on top of it?
That is 8/18.
Well, they're only closed out through 6:30. They haven't closed out. Right?
Yes, but he's looking at, you're saying you don't have a revenue expense report in front of you.
I'm the only one that does.
Okay.
But you did give them you gave it to everybody, but they didn't understand what they had last week or last meeting.
Okay. So they didn't bring it this time.
Right, they probably didn't look at it looking at the budget. And if you're not looking at this, you can't determine anything with this. Because all it is ever who looks at this, which is you. I mean, you know the numbers. We can't do anything with just this. We gotta have the current. So we gotta know if we're under budget or over budget. You can figure that out no matter where you are in the year.
That's why you look at this expenditures each time they send you one too. And they'll say whether it was to Lehman Roberts or APAC or something like that.
Every month, we got to budget, all we had to spend and a percentage.
Right.
We got every month.
So then we can determine if we're under budget or over budget. We can ask the questions.
Sure.
And then a lot of times there's a good answer.
Kind of like a carryover to the departments.
Yeah. If you go through here and look at it and look at every line item, some of them were under budget, but we're predicting a higher budget for the next fiscal year.
But also you got to track it very well because that's the same question I asked the chief earlier. They didn't spend, they had $15,000 in there, but they're taking a minute of budget and move 6,000 and something to another line item. So it would have showed, yes, that they didn't spend in that particular, they were under in that particular line item, but they moved it to somewhere else that they were over it.
Right. But with the printout we had, that's what I'm saying, you couldn't figure that out. This is the biggest piece of the puzzle. But last year, so we didn't have the 410,000 in overlays.
Started out, pull money out of it all year.
I would say we started at the one too.
It's always been used like the contingency fund.
Well, how much did we have in contingency last year when we started out?
It's on that sheet, 100,000, I think.
94,000?
One, I just handed out tonight.
Don't like this one. Don't like this
Well, contingency don't supposed to be used as a savings account. It's supposed to be used as an emergency.
That's what we've been saying for the last 3 years.
That means we gotta do a better job budgeting.
Where is she on 304? You know that, Jeff?
Sir?
The only thing we used out of that whole program for our roads upgrade was the slurry seal on 304. All the money was pulled out for other uses.
No, we did green fee too.
And green fee.
Yeah.
That's right, green fee, forgot about that.
But there's still 85,000, but you said there's some costs that we're not aware of. Or you're waiting on some invoices to come in. So you think we used all of them?
Can we?
No, haven't.
No, not all of the 85.
How much you think we got left?
I like it.
It's not much. I know we went through the other day.
We talked about doing the Congress parking lot.
How much is it? It needs to be done.
Yes, it does. Before we tear it completely up.
Yeah.
You got some streets that need to be done too. Where Congress Park.
I think we all know, realize we're not doing $1.2 million. We're gonna move that money around, we'll have to. Unless y'all can figure something else out.
Well, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, we came up with a road plan 3 years ago. We haven't been able to follow it. I'd like to revisit each department head and all that. Let's reconvene, recess until a week from Thursday night, September the 5th. Pick the 10th, man. What is that, the 10th?
The fifth is on the Saturday.
He said Thursday, not the 15th.
Let's see how much closer we are and what we can look at and just visit. That gives us Thursday night to get to where we are, and then we can see where we are there, and then over the weekend, and then Tuesday the 15th, we can adopt it, whatever we have to do.
So we from there?
That's how we'll recess till then.
How about
Wednesday's church night. I mean, that's fine with me, yes.
Are you good?
Thursday or Wednesday.
He needs to be in Jackson on Thursday. I need everybody.
Let's do it, we need everybody coming.
Wednesday the night.
Does that sound good tonight?
You all right, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm putting it in now.
Okay.
Katie, can you give everybody that analyzed printout? I don't know what you call it. That's what it is.
It's right at the top of the corner. All right, continuing on. Item number 20. Approve Pickering Engineering for Pickering firm for professional engineering service on the Stewart AWG and authorize the mayor to sign the contracts. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion granted. 21, authorize mayor pro tem to sign director of coaching services agreement with Blake Cooper.
Do you want to start?
D2.
You want me to do soccer?
Yes. Yes. So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion granted. Approve the budget amendments in a separate form paper for fiscal year 2020. Any questions on it? Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion granted. Item 23, approve the utility adjustment document.
Could somebody give me some clarity on number 2?
Which one is that?
On number 2.
Big one.
Yeah, I need some clarity. I mean, y'all been having a lot of promos and everything. I need some clarity on number 2. I don't get nobody else to use it in. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Like, you know how you ride it, and there was a deal. And I know very few deals, they get the same amount of adjustment as what the deal was, correct? To be on average, right? To be on average. So the deal was what? How much the deal was?
I'm looking for that now.
1172.
I didn't need some
Wait a
clarity.
minute, man.
It was $1,800 for it.
Huh?
That's, no, that's, yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, that's on the first one.
The deal was for $1,172.
Yeah.
Have, maybe 6 months. That, to see.
Was this due to us though?
No, really, this is a leak that he had in the yard, along his driveway, you know, about, but edge of his yard, got around the yard, about, I don't know how many acres he has, got this long.
So
He didn't
This is
know.
like ran out of the yard.
That's not very long, that goes long. All that. Those are very. That's the water bill. But he did not realize that it was a leak until someone else called his attention to it.
Broke the pipe, didn't he? Yeah, he broke the pipe when he was working on it. He didn't know it until they called and told him.
I think we may have alerted him to this when they read the meter or something, and I'm not really sure how he figured it out.
I mean, these are a little unique, but you gotta think about the rural area that we purchased in Bill Robinson where the houses are way off. Look at this, seeing the water leak right quick in town.
2 or 3 houses on about 100 acres.
Any more questions?
I just want an explanation on the record, so this is the most major one we done had. Correct.
Get some more water, I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have a motion?
I make a motion that, how are we doing it now? We don't do it like this.
Just prove the utility document.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the utility document.
We have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion granted. Also, we had one thing left off, or actually, Kenny, evidently it was on the agenda before this or something, and I think we missed it. I think it was. Can we add Dwayne to the board to hire? I got an email and I must not see it from Katie. Dwayne had on his, an email to me to hire Key and Medware at $10 an hour.
Someone on the last one? Well, on the last one, we looked at the last one.
Last agenda had to hire a guy full time. We then had to hire a guy, a seasonal employee.
It's a season.
Yeah.
So you want to do it today?
Yeah.
Could you do it when you recess? That's not going to happen.
Can you wait till next Thursday?
I'm gonna start cutting grass tomorrow.
It's raining now, so I don't know. And Monday's a holiday. Monday's a holiday too.
We work on holiday now.
I guess.
Please wait, can you wait, Dwayne, till next Thursday?
I'll wait, I'll make you wait, I'll not to wait.
I think you could. It's a seasonal employee. Just, make a motion that it was mistakenly left off the docket, that it was intended to be put on tonight's docket. And ask it to add item number 23.
That's the rule.
Now it's on the agenda. Now we got to vote on it.
Motion been made and seconded.
We gotta approve it.
You gotta vote on that.
We gotta approve, put it on the agenda.
All right, now, call for a vote.
Call for a vote.
Kenny's writing it down, keep trying to get it right, give me a second. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion granted.
Now you vote for that.
You made a
Okay,
motion.
yeah, there, okay, now we got it, all right. Now we need a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion granted.
Do you want to go to recess, not adjourn?
We don't adjourn, do we?
No, you recess.
We recess. Motion recess till September 9th at 6 P M.
6 p.m.
Thursday, no, September 9th, 6 p.m. Wait, let's get this right.
September 9th at 6 o'clock. Thursday.
Wednesday, September 9th, Wednesday at 6 P M. Bill? Second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Keep this. Somebody.